When I first learned the universe is a place of breathtaking and breath-giving beauty, I was 7 years old. The holidays were over and numbing cold fear had set in. Sparks, Nevada, 1946, the dead of winter, and perhaps the bottom dead center of my young life. Almost in the yard of the railroad the whole town worked for in 1946. It was a company town, the Southern Pacific Railroad Company's town, and my mother was a railroad man. We lived in the trailers between the sand house and the clubhouse. The trailers were a large number of war surplus travel trailers the company and or city bought cheap from the army to house the post-war workforce and crammed them up against the yard fence, as I say, between the clubhouse, a grown-up's place, used to store, load, and unload train crews passing through, and the sand house, the great playground in the sky for some, which also stored and loaded great mountains of sand for steam engines, who used it for traction. All summer long, for a lifetime, we stole into the sand house to play and pray to the gods of sand mountains, throwing ourselves from roofs, engines, coal cars, derricks, whatever would take us up and let us fly, and getting buried alive in natural consequences, and fighting our way back. Safety was no biggie in those days. Those days when a kid fell out of a tree, they didn't blame the tree. Kids and broken things were part of the natural order, in and out of the company. But it was 1946. The moon was still made of green cheese. There were no jets, no ballpoint pens, no filters for cigarettes or internal combustion engines, hardly. No polio vaccine, McDonald's, the slightest awareness of lung cancer, Alzheimer's, AIDS, ADZ, hypertension, child abuse, or planet exhaustion. AA was about 10 years old. The US of they was only 170. We had just dropped the bomb. The nuclear family was in trouble, and steam was king. And I often lived within the steam. A black night in February, clear and bitter cold, but mercifully windless, dead calm. Leaving the madness and fear behind me in the trailer, I crawled under the fence to the sand house, where under the yard light a steam locomotive and tender was idling, alone, like me. It was a member of the 4400 series, the consummate steam engine for me, just ahead of the Malley. The great and towering black behemoth was at rest, not 30 steps from my window, but now facing me, looming in its own steam, relieving itself of internal pressure, lest it explode. The night is only black now, white light and whiter quick clouds. It is as I imagine a dragon would always rest in its own breath. Yes, the dragon was simply breathing, and there was me and the black night before the dragon and its breath. A steam engine is never really at rest while the fire burns in its heart. Neither is a dragon, I should think. There are little pressure escape valves everywhere, and they are so constant you hardly ever hear them. But every little while or so, the pressure builds in the main boiler and must be relieved. And that's when it happens. When it happened. The Big Bang. First contact. I am standing in chaos, past and present. I don't know the word nor what it means, but life is not possible where I know I am. I'm just 7, and I know it. Suicide has been an option since I remember. Suicide, perhaps my only power. And somehow, My mind and terror are eclipsed before the simple beauty of the beast. Here, now, in the silent night, when, unspeakably, there she blows, greatest billows of pure and whitest white, screaming, hilariously churning into blackest deadpan black, engulfing the universe now in a black and white riotous merging of these two non-mergeables, and burning Tao symbol of my blindest beginnings. I can see it now. It went on forever. And there is no way to say this, but it was the defining moment of my 7-year-old life. Life became possible in that moment, even probable. Everything was more beautiful than I thought, and I knew it. It still is.